Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Tech Talk SMB. As you can see, I'm so happy today. Joined with me today is the Executive Director of Common North America, Manzoor Siddiqui. Manzoor, I'm so happy that you're joining me here today. What a treat it is for me to have a good friend of mine as a special guest on the podcast with me.
Thank you, Charlie. I appreciate you finally asking me. So I'm happy to be here.
Well, okay. Well, you know how it goes, Manzoor. We're very selective in who we ask to be our guests. So
I feel privileged. I feel privileged that after 2 years you finally gotten to me. So that's
the
great.
privilege is all mine, my friend. It's all mine, I can assure you. So, Manzoor, you are just for people who may not be familiar with you, because you tend to run in the background at the events, and people see you, but it's not entirely clear what your role is. I mean, your title is executive director, but what exactly does executive director mean, and what do you do in that role?
Yeah, so executive director basically means I am I guess, the CEO type of role of Common. As you know, Common has a professional staff that manages the operations and all the activities and initiatives, and so I'm in charge of the staff. So I work with the board of directors directly to figure out the strategy, and then myself and the staff and other volunteers execute on that strategy. So I guess I'm in charge of the staff and just making sure everything runs smoothly for the organization.
The backbone.
I guess, but I don't want to minimize the volunteers that really, have been the backbone for Common for, I guess 65 years now at this point.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, let's get to that topic because but I want there are some other things I want to talk about first. And um before we even get even into my questions, I just want to say that Common, even for me, I have been a speaker at Common for more than 20 years, and it has been such an enriching experience for me personally. So I want to thank you for that. I know you've been there, you've been a big part of that experience for me too. So I want to thank you personally, Manzoor, for all you've done for me personally.
Oh, I mean, you're a great speaker. I mean, for the sessions that I have sat in on, and that you obviously are, I would say a rock star among the community
Wow.
itself. So I think just seeing how you speak and your style and the number of fans that you have out there, as well as a testament to all your sessions that are usually blowout sessions or sellout sessions. So I think we I think all I do is just provide you with an opportunity to be yourself and share your expertise. So, but happy to do that.
And it's not unique to me. Obviously, there are many speakers in this community
Absolutely.
who can get those same accolades, obviously,
Yep.
for sure.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. And Common certainly does bolster that. Obviously, it does bolster that very feeling and of volunteerism and making and bringing out the best of people, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly, we try to provide the opportunity for, I think, not only professional speakers, but I think just everyday users, an opportunity just to showcase their expertise, provide them with an opportunity to really connect with the community. I mean, when I think of Common, I think of nothing but community. Really, it's this as someone has said in the past, it's like going to old college or high school reunion where everybody knows each other, and that's really, the community that the IBMI that's the strength of this community, I would say. I think compared to other user groups or other associations that are out there. So, it's providing with everybody with a sense of belonging and feeling welcome, and giving them a space to really just share knowledge and just share expertise, and this become friends.
I want to almost replace the word community that you just said with the word family, because that's what it feels like when I go to these conferences. It literally feels like a family. It's very familiar, very it's beyond cordial. It's familial. It's just a wonderful thing, and it's always a reunion of sorts that we get to see each other again. And it's really one of the best things that anybody can experience, especially as a regular attendee.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people would echo the same thing. You know, I've talked to many speakers and volunteers and just regular attendees who really can't wait to get back there because they get to see their friends and you know, some are very close friends, you know, that they're once a year or twice a year, whatever the case may be. And you know, I mean, it's a very welcoming community. So, and I think, you know, as new attendees, new members come and join, I think they feel the same thing, and we want to create that environment because we want them to keep coming back and experience and help utilize that to help grow their career.
It's interesting to say that because I have spoken to, through the years, of course, I've encountered many first-time attendees at various events, obviously, and their comments to me are almost always the same. I wish I had done this sooner.
Yeah,
It's really it's a recurring theme that really comes out. And then, that's how you begin to evangelize what you've seen and learned at the event by coming. And it's yeah, I mean, we can talk about that very point for forever, but until you experience it in person, it's such a different vibe than watching something online, things like that. There's something about being there, just being there, being in the room
yeah.
where it happens, so to speak. It's a great experience.
Yeah, and you certainly have a different perspective than you know I do, right? As somebody who's trying to organize it and then run it, you know, I mean, we're the staff gets really excited about this. I mean, this is our, you know, the Power Up event that's coming up, you know, in California. You know, that's our signature event, and just the amount of work that goes into it, making sure that we provide the space and the opportunity for everybody to connect. You know, I mean, it's a tremendous amount of work, and but you know, it's exciting because when we get there on site, you know, we get to see, you know, the work that goes into place and what the result is, and just seeing people talk and having fun and laughing and creating those memories and those friendships. I think, you know, that's really, you know, it's heartwarming, and it really gives you a sense of purpose when you get there, and to see that happen. And you know, obviously, you as a an attendee and a speaker and a volunteer have a different perspective than say somebody who's, you know, quote unquote a regular attendee. But yeah, it's exciting. I love it. You know, I've been here now 18 years with Common, so you know that's always an exciting time every time we get to go to events and help see, you know, what the work we've done and how it comes together.
What you just mentioned there, those to me are all the metrics of success, of what makes
Yeah,
a conference great.
yeah,
So,
I agree. I agree. You know, I think the knowledge and and expertise you get out of the sessions, you know, is obviously important because you're learning. But I think the ability to connect to somebody that's a peer, or somebody that's done something you're trying to do, or somebody that's, you know, has some great new ideas. I think those are all like, you know, it's amazing what you can get out of it. And, you know, I've heard this from other attendees as well, is, you know, sometimes the real value of attending happens outside of the session rooms. It happens in the hallways, you know, and, you know, just sitting down for lunch, dinner, whatever the case is. So, you know, I can't say enough about it, I guess.
and the real value in my mind goes even beyond the conference because after that, I will get many emails from people and stay in touch with people. So it extends well beyond the actual in-person event.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's absolutely, you know, creating your virtual Rolodex, right? Of people that you've met, people that you can call on for, you know, expertise, you know, including the speakers. I mean, our speakers are not just they're not just coming, presenting a session and going away. I mean, they really, you know, give out their personal cell phone numbers or emails or whatever the case is and say, hey, if you have another question or you run into something, just call me, just email me. And I think, you know, where else can you get that, you know, from world-class speakers that are, you know, not only, you know, independent experts, but also from IBM as well.
And I'll say this: being a speaker at the a regular speaker, I should say. Speaker. I enjoy being a speaker, of course, but I'm a I'm an IT professional first.
Yeah.
And I think most of the people who present at these conferences are similar to that. So we all network with each other, of course. And I have,
Right.
you mentioned the virtual Rolodex. It's the same exact thing. If I have a particular issue, I can make, as you said, I can text anybody, make a quick phone call, and I have access to some of the best people in this community, the most knowledgeable people, and and it's obviously there's a lot of reciprocity there, but it again, I just go, we can talk on and on, but it's the real
Yeah.
value.
Yeah.
So, but so that's North America. We talked about. You mentioned California Power Up, but I do know that Common is expanding its footprint in a lot of different ways and very interesting ways. And what I'd like to do is I'm going to share my screen and maybe we can talk about at least two of the recent events, I should say, that were not in North America, but very substantial nonetheless. So I'm going to share my screen. Give me 1 second to do that, if I can figure out how to do that. I will do that. Here we go. Give me 1 second here. Bum. I will get there. Let me start my presentation. Hang on. I always goof this up again. Hold on. Sorry. Hang on. Okay, what did I do wrong here? I'm getting there. I promise I'm getting there. There we go. All right, here we go. It's coming, I promise. I promise you it's coming. I promise. It's really coming. I'm not joking. It's
You
coming.
you are an IT professional, right?
Exactly. Can I get somebody here? Can I get somebody to help me here? Okay, here we go. Finally, we did it. Yay.
Uh,
All right, so what do you see here? I see IEVO 2024. You want to speak to this?
sure. So this was our the event we collaborated with a business partner in Japan, IGWEST, and IEVO is their annual event where, again, it was a 2-day conference, and common, as you talked about, as far as global expansion is concerned, Japan is one of the key areas where we are expanding, and it was the first event where we were happy to have participation with them, as it says, featuring Common. So, so this is our first event, first joint event with this organization to start building out the Common Japan initiative.
It was a big deal.
Yeah, it was a great. And they invited myself and Floyd to represent Common as as key guests, and it was a great opportunity for us to meet with IBM Japan, including decision makers as well as just the audience itself, and talk about what Common has to offer and what we can bring to Japan. Japan used to have a fairly substantial user group out there before COVID, and I know they haven't been able to reorganize since then. So it became an opportunity for us and some of the key volunteers in Japan that they wanted to reform under the Common Japan brand. So, the potential and kind of where we're headed is going to be great out there.
I agree. How about this guy? What do we know about this?
Yeah, so Charlie, of course, our featured speaker at this event, and I don't know why I'm referring to you in third person, but obviously you were there, and as an invited guest and speaker representing Common, and gave a great session out there to the audience.
I want to speak to this for just a minute, and that's to your point. It was such a unique experience being in Japan, in Tokyo, and meeting with the attendees there. Obviously, I spoke in English. I don't speak Japanese, but they did have a live interpreter, which was really great. And one thing I want to point out, and we'll talk about the other conference in a second, but um, the enthusiasm is worldwide in this community.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you are, whether you're speaking English, Japanese, or any other language. The people are the same in this community, and I just want to point that it's so I'm very thankful also to this organization for allowing me to present one of the keynote presentations there too. It was a great experience.
Yeah, and beyond the in person, we have quite a few number of sessions in Japanese in our online content library. So, we're trying to build that repository out as well as, if you can make it to an in-person event, our content library has sessions in multiple languages. At this point, we have obviously English, but Spanish, Japanese, German, French, and Spanish. So again, we're trying to meet the needs of the global IBMI community.
Well, it continues the global expansion because now we have this great event. This was just a few months ago, and you want to speak to this one?
Yeah, so this was an exciting event. This was Common India, which just took place in February. It was our first time. This has been a number of years in the making for me from a personal perspective, but we know that the audience, the IBMI audience, and the user community is quite large in India and growing. So it was just an opportunity for us to bring education out there, and Simon, obviously Charlie, Simon Hutchinson, Marina Schwank, and a couple of local speakers were some of the key speakers that we had at the event itself. And it was a great buzz. It was a great vibe. It was for our inaugural event. It was really successful, and looking forward to doing more with this.
Here's here's a typical. This is it's me, but uh, the attendance in the rooms was spectacular, I
Yeah,
thought,
I
and
agree.
the level of enthusiasm was just sky high. This was just for me again another great experience for me and the other speakers certainly, and for the attendees too, because it was
Yeah,
a first, and we're building another community out there in India.
yeah,
This was in Pune,
right.
and perhaps there'll be other areas in India as this goes on.
Yeah, I think what we want to do is that, with India, there's several tech sectors throughout the country, spread throughout the country, just from even a population perspective. So, just like we do in North America, the goal would be that, we move the event around to different areas, just so we're meeting the needs of the community itself. And I mean, I think this blowout session is a perfect example of just the enthusiasm as you were talking about, and the need for education that speakers of your caliber can bring. I think for a long time it's been an underserved market. So I think certainly some of the comments I heard were, we never thought that, we would get an event like this in India. Everybody compares it to or thinks about the Power Up event or the events that we do here in the US, and not being, not having access to it. So I think, this is certainly giving us confidence as well as an opportunity to help grow this more and more in that community.
And I'm going to show one more photo that really speaks once again to the enthusiasm and the community at large, because this photo here was immediately after one of the sessions, and you can see that, I'm sure many of the people in this photo did not know each other. I mean, I met all of them there, of course, but they did not know each other, and I'm sure in some cases, and yet again, a new community was formed right then and there.
Yeah,
Very typical, and very typical of Common in general, and they because it really at its core, I mean, it's a user group. Common is a
absolutely.
user group, right?
Yep,
And
absolutely.
and you get all the benefits of a user group, and again, and that includes meeting people and engaging. Here's a final picture I want to share, and maybe you want to just talk about who you see in this photo, and um, this is really again part of the backbone. And again, to be clear, I'm not trying to. Um, I'm sure not everybody, not for sure, not everybody who was part of the building of this event, but this is some of the people there. So who do you see in this photo?
Yeah, so kind of going from left to right, on the starting on the left is Gajender. He is from Profound Logic, and he was there as an exhibitor, but certainly he was a speaker as well as an attendee as well. Next to him is Simon Hutchinson, who was one of the speakers from the U.S. That was there for the event. Then you have Ranga Deshpande, who actually is Common Belgium and Common Europe, and he flew from Belgium to attend this event. First of all, Pune is his home city, but he wanted to really be there for this audience and this inaugural event. Next to him is Namita. Namita is from IBM Tech Exchange, and she's in charge of the Champions program in India. So she was able to come out and participate as well. Marina Schwenk, who obviously is a board member, but also a very well-known and recognized speaker as well in this community. She was there. Then next to her is Nirmal, and Nirmal is part of Programmers.io. And they're one of the great supporters and helped us, and even a great partner for us in meeting the needs of the India community, and obviously you as one of the speakers as well.
It's
Yeah, so
true.
I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. I think there's just this variety of people in this photo, kind of represents, really how small the community is, even at a global scale, and that, this event was able to bring all these people together and just, allow them the ability to just network and exchange and create relationships.
Manzoor, I'm going to stop sharing so we can keep talking about our conversation because I know
Sure.
there's some more things I want to talk about. So we talk about global expansion,
Yeah.
and I know that there's discussions, if you will, on other locations that are on this planet that are maybe ripe for an event, or at least we're in the discussion point. What other locations are you talking about right now?
I mean, so certainly, we've been doing this Common Latin America event, Common LATAM virtual events for since last year. The Spanish speaking market is another underserved market, and right now we are doing quarterly, all day webinars, and all the content is presented in Spanish, and it's gotten a great response, just from a worldwide community. So we have people from South America, Central America, Mexico, even Spain joining the event as well. Latin America is another key market we're looking at. Hopefully we can put down an in-person event there as well, just trying to figure out what makes the most sense for us as far as where we do it. So the LATAM event and that content is ongoing. We're in talks for possibly doing an event in Australia. I've got following the Common India event, actually, one of the companies that attended, they sent 4 people. Was a bank from Sri Lanka, and so following the event, sort of the reverberation of that has been that that a couple of people have reached out to me from Sri Lanka about forming a local user group in Sri Lanka. So,
Wow.
you know,
Wow.
yeah, so kind of going from there, and then obviously, as you talked about, Common Europe and our partnerships with all those countries and the umbrella organization, continues to be strong. So, our goal is really figuring out, where the needs are for the community and where are underserved markets and what we can do to build that out. Because I mean, really, it's about serving the global IBMI community. So, if there's an opportunity where we think we can make a difference, or we've been asked, there have been companies that have approached us, or people that have approached us and say, hey, what can I do to start this here? Then we'll help them, bring that about.
Let's shift gears, Manzo, because
Yeah.
there's so many different topics that we can talk about. But one that's really near and dear to me is my own personal journey and how I got there. And I cannot overstate, or is it understate? I can overstate the gift that I was giving of mentorship, the mentors that I've had in my speaking journey, if you will. I mean, everybody has mentors, but professional mentors. But in my own case with Common, especially mentors, and I know many people just they talk about this all the time, how mentors have really helped them advance their careers. I mean, for me, one mentor who clearly comes to my mind, who's not no longer with us, is Al Barsa, and I'll say that forever. Al Barsa, for me, I know many people are not familiar with him anymore, but he'll always hold a very big part in my heart because he really had such a significant impact on my speaking at Common. So I thank him all the time. But talk about mentors in general and how you see mentors playing a vital role in Common and maybe the IBMI community as a whole.
Yeah, I think mentors, no matter what profession, I think are really important, just for your own self and for your own career growth itself. So, I can understand I can understand where you come from with Al Barsa. I mean, Al was still, when I first started, and I first met Al, I mean, certainly a larger than life person and character and a volunteer within the common community. So, and I think, everyone who knew him would say the same thing as far as how he would go out of his way to make sure that you are taken care of, in whatever way possible, and so, I mean, mentorship, I think, is critical, especially for people that are new to the IBMI community or that are, students that are graduating and coming into the community itself, because, you know, it's it's where the community connects, and that's where you share your knowledge, right? I mean, even at our events, for those that are new to or first time attendees, we try and pair them up with volunteers or other people from the community that have been around for a long time, and get them to just talk and become a mentor, and so they can get the most value out of their conference experience as well. And outside of the conference, the N2I group, which really is focused on those that are new to IBMI. I mean, part of what they offer is a mentorship program, right? I mean, you can sign up and say, hey, I'd like to have a mentor reach out to me and just help me on my journey. It can be anything from what sessions I should be taking to, what my career path should be to, just technical information. So I think mentors and mentees, I think are sort of an understated or underutilized benefit of Common, but they really add value to your career and help you grow in your career.
And there are so many people who are just again willing to share not even their expertise, but just how to, for example, how to best navigate an event.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for those that have been around for a long time, some of the things are just, second nature, right? I'm like, oh, I go there, then I go to this and I go to that, but not even knowing like, who are the key speakers, like depending on what your focus is, who are the key speakers you should be looking at? How do you plan your sessions, making sure that you attend this networking event, that networking event, or who in the expo, which of the vendor partners should you go and visit that can help you, in that area as well. I think it's critically important.
Is there any one mistake, for example, that you might see a new attendee make that you've seen in the past that maybe how might they be able to avoid that one mistake if there even is one?
I mean, I think the one advice I can give is I think sometimes they don't come prepared as far as what they want to get out of their conference experience. So certainly I think plan out your journey as much as possible with the sessions. Have goals of what you want to take away from it, and make sure you're hitting those sessions. And the other part I would say is that uh, understanding that all the speakers and the volunteers are approachable, right? Don't don't miss out on the opportunity of networking with them or just talking to them, outside of the session or right after the session itself. Because as we talked about earlier, I think starting to build out those relationships and that Rolodex is going to be critically important for you in your career and what you're trying to achieve itself. So, don't undersell the networking opportunities. Don't under don't don't undersell the time, where you're just talking to people in the hallway or at a reception or whatever the case is. I mean, those are just as critically important, I would say, as sessions.
I want to even take that and go take that as my leaping off point. And I can't not mention the vendors in the expo hall.
Yeah.
You get and sometimes as much education speaking to a vendor as you might in a session, maybe even more, depending on what you're looking to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you look at our session list, right, many of the speakers, are from the vendor community. I mean, they're experts. Just because they work for a company that is selling a product or service doesn't mean that they're always going to try to do a sales pitch on you, right? They're experts in their field. So take advantage of their expertise, and they're happy to share the information. It has nothing to do about whether or not they're, going to give you a sales pitch or if they scan your badge or something, right? I mean, so really take advantage of that community.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, and you're right. They are experts, and sometimes because of their experience with their customers and their customer sets, things like that, they have, again, depending on your requirements, even more value to you
Yeah, absolutely.
for sure. 8 pages of questions and don't know where to start. Don't know where to go from here, man. So much. I mean, I do want to talk about the fact that Commons, this is a big year anniversary wise for Common.
Yeah, this year we're celebrating our 65th anniversary, our 65th birthday. So, it's an exciting time. And 65 doesn't mean we're retiring at all, right? I mean, we're growing and we're changing and we're looking forward to the next 65 years.
It's true. I have seen so much change in a very positive way in how Common is presenting itself to the community, meeting the requirements, and it has to evolve. Otherwise, it's going to die. Quite frankly, it needs to evolve and keep up with the current requirement. And listen, technology is moving always at an increasing pace, obviously, increasingly faster pace. But Common is keeping up, and you can tell that by looking at this, again, the sessions that are being offered, the different tracks. Maybe you can talk about that briefly. How do you deciding? I mean, I know you have a set of experts deciding, like for example, what sessions to present, what tracks even to present, and the different budgets are different. How does that all work, behind the scenes?
Yeah, I mean, we have a great education team, from a strategic education team as well as subject matter experts that, decide, what are the topic areas that are hot right now or that are still popular. I mean, so it's a process of looking at, how sessions perform at previous events as well as having conversations on, up and coming technologies and, taking a look of seeing how you balance sort of the session budget based on that and to make sure that we're meeting the needs of the members and in addition to that, we have strategic initiatives as well, right? I mean, this year we're doing a full storage track and we're doing a full track on adjacent technologies, so technologies that are adjacent to IBMI. And part of that is just looking at where our membership is growing and where the opportunities exist, right? So it's you'll have your programming and sysadmin sessions and security and all of those things as well that are obviously updated, but what are some areas that we think that that can be beneficial for our members as well?
And 65 is a big one, I think. 65 years old. And I have to say it again, it didn't get there by accident. We're standing on the shoulders of some of the biggest, experts in the community throughout the years. And that's the only way it's going to continue to prosper is by everybody contributing and volunteering their time and keeping this great thing going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, Common has a staff that, we manage the initiatives and the execution of it, but really at its core, the volunteers have been the driving force, for the organization for the past 65 years, right? It's their commitment to sharing knowledge. It's a commitment to the community. It's about, and volunteers will continue doing that, right? Because it's really about the community, uh, delivering what's best for its members, right? And I'm here, my staff is here to help facilitate that, but it's so my pitch would be get involved, get involved with Common, get involved as a volunteer. You have a story to share, you have expertise to share, believe it or not. I mean, we're our user group. The key portion, the key thing that makes a user group different than, say, a commercial conference is the fact that it's, peers presenting and sharing with other peers. And there's something to be learned, there's something to be taught, at no matter what level anyone is.
And volunteerism goes well beyond just speaking or sharing even knowledge. I mean, there is also the logistical part of running the conference where you can help volunteer as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have a tech team. We have, on-site volunteers that just help people, navigate the event itself. We've got, the education team that helps kind of decide the sessions. We've got people who help at Reg, at the Common Education Foundation booth. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts in, prepping for the event and at the event itself. And there's opportunities, based on, where you want to focus and what your commitment is.
I'm just going to add this. I mean, I say this all the time, but I want to get it on a record even with you. And, I feel that I do volunteer. I do give a lot, but I'm not alone, obviously. But I will always continue to get back more than I give. And I think that's true for any volunteer and with this, with Common.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the heart of volunteerism is that you're giving selflessly, but and you can't necessarily measure what you're given back to you, right? So and I think having dozens and dozens of volunteers within Common who have played a part in whatever little way, has been a tremendous benefit to the organization itself. And I think, the fact that many of them keep coming back year after year and look forward to it, is because they want to keep giving back. Plus, they enjoy the camaraderie, right? And the people that they meet, and they enjoy just the feeling of giving back and learning from each other, and just that family that we talked about, at the beginning, right? This becomes their family, and they can't wait to see each other.
That's very true. And it doesn't it's not lost on me that at the end of every conference there's always I always say I hate the last day because we're saying goodbye. But I also walk away with a sense that we did something great.
Yeah, I think the satisfaction at the end of the day, when the conference is done, and then kind of hearing from people about, what they got out of it, I think that really makes it worthwhile.
I totally agree. So I guess the final question, if you had just one moment to answer this question,
Sure.
in 30 seconds or less, why does common matter? I guess we've said it already in the entire time, but if you had to encapsulate that, and distill it into one or two, salient points, what would they be? Why does common matter?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I mean, I can give you my perspective.
Sure.
I think attendees and volunteers and, will probably have different perspectives, right, based on what they get out of it. My perspective is, Common is here to serve the community, right? I mean, we and as I say, Common is a community, and we're here to serve the community, and we want to make sure that we're providing benefits to the community that'll help them grow in their careers. I mean, that's really our end goal, right? It's we're a nonprofit, right? So it's not about shareholders or giving anything like that. It's really about, it's the community giving back to the community. As I said, at the end of the day, the strategy and everything, it comes from the community through the volunteers, and then you trying to make sure that we continue to be valuable and matter for the next 65 years, right? The Our members, trust us to give them access to resources that'll help them, and that's something that we don't take lightly.
That was perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Manzoor, I wanted to thank you again for first of all for sharing your time and being a guest on this podcast. I
This was fun, Charlie. I really appreciate it. And
Yeah,
like you said, we could talk for hours on so many different things.
I mean I have 7.5 pages of questions I haven't even asked you. But here's the good news. I will ask you them when I see you in person. How's that?
All right, sounds good.
Always great to see you. Thank you. And if you are attending a conference in the US, in Europe, or many other places around the planet, if you happen to see Manzoor, this is from me to you. Go up and just say hello and maybe even thank you for, for all the hard work that he does, and not just the whole team, but as executive director, that does come with responsibilities, obviously. But again, the entire team at Common, thank you to all of you, and to you especially for being the podcast, Manzoor. Always great to
I,
see you.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Charlie. Good seeing you, and I will see you in just a couple weeks, actually.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Disneyland.
Yeah, Disneyland. Happiest place on earth.
Happy place on earth for sure. All right, everybody. Until next time, hope you enjoyed the podcast, and we will see you then. Bye now.
Bye.